At first, I really wanted to have a brand that was cruelty free. The more I started communicating and meeting customers, they were telling me about ethical ways of producing garments and how the fashion industry doesn't stop at animals, but there's also a horrible treatment of the people, and there's child laborers or underpaid if paid at all. Certain people, there's toxic dyes, there's all these things that you don't really think about it as a consumer. And I want she's showing, she's like doing a whole split from the chair. Even there are so many little things that we don't think about, but for example, you can have a 100% cotton sneakers and like a rubber sole, which would be vegan, but often the glue is made of fish. A heel that seems like it's two colors, like brown and beige and brown and beige, and it looks like it's plastic or something. Yeah. What actually is, it's leather that has been compacted, and it's like hundreds of layers of different leather stacked on top of each other. So this certification basically means that the factory, first of all, the factory that, which in my case are manufacturers, they pay to have the certification, meaning they don't pay to have it, they pay to be monitored. That means they are investing for the company to be monitored throughout the year. It's valid for 1 year. You have to renew it. And they say basically, hey, my door are open. You are welcome to monitor, see how we work, see the conditions and the show salaries and stuff like that. And that gives such a transparency that as a buyer, you feel so much more confident. 90% of my polyester is from recycled polyester. And what's great about that, it's that it can actually be recycled over and over without degradation. So it's such a great way to not create more. So think about it. Imagine you have 3 garments made of polyester, and every time you return back to the factory and they break it down into a complete new outfit, you haven't touched any forest, you haven't touched anything. No human has been harmed because it's made in a machine. It's not, nobody's like putting their hands into anything. To me, it's the future. It's the great way that we use technology for good.
Exactly.
Hey, look, you could have that look, you could have that taste, and guess what? Nobody died for it.
Exactly. They're there. It's just a matter of choices, and you have to choose kindness every time. Why would you wear a dead body? Well, and it has to go through a whole process so you don't stink because it's gonna rot. The same way. It's why do you freeze the meat? Because it's gonna rot. That's gonna be rotten, and people don't realize that. They're like, oh no, just put it in the freezer. You're like, why? If it was a banana, you wouldn't have to do that. In this culture, we do the same thing as they're doing, eating a boiled dog or a boiled bat to a lobster to a chicken. It's the same thing, and it's very hard sometimes because not everyone is empathic with animals. And that's the hard part because they don't realize, that they're sentient beings. And that's horrible.
Her dad used to work in a slaughterhouse, and he stopped, like she said, something like 20 years ago. And he still goes to therapy, and he has nightmares every single night. And she was telling me he wakes up and he say he hears the scream.
Yeah.
He hears the scream. Like, this is cruel for humans as well. If you really don't give a poop about animals, think about you are paying for somebody to basically to kill another being. Like, this is crazy.
It's important to realize that it's not about being compassionate just with the animals, but it comes around humans and the environment as well. We are bringing all this bad energy. We are eating it, or we are wearing it.
Yeah.
So it turns around our lives, and there's a lot of people suffering depression. There's a lot of people suffering anxiety, and most of the time it's these things that we are putting on us or
I agree. That's very spiritual.
My mom had cancer. She had breast cancer, and we didn't realize that it was because she was eating milk and cheese that is packed with hormones. So her estrogen levels were all the way to the sky. And once we learned that, we're like, oh, okay. So that those tumors that you had, we could have avoided those if we stopped. Because people, they think that they're gonna die of protein deficiency if they stop eating the meat when the animal is actually getting the protein from the plant.
We completely have forgotten that there's an ecosystem here.
Yes.
Just
Exactly.
think for a second. We are a floating planet in a universe. If this isn't a miracle for you, I mean, the planet is meant to have an ecosystem to function. That goes from the little ant to the big animal, which I'm sure we're not on the top of the food chain. We shouldn't be. And we believe that we're gods and we act like we can destroy this and create that. And this is why the planet is in such a bad space.
And it's our duty as well to become activist. And when I say activist, I know it's a word that scared a lot of people, but being activist just means being active.
Often women are driven by a look of something. They're going to see a celebrity wearing a look. Ooh, I'm going to try to find this look. And that's most consumer way of thinking. I want the new red leather jacket because that's the fashion, okay? So they go to the big corporation they're used to go there to buy their red leather jacket for $25 and they don't realize where that comes from.
Yes.
And that's where we come in to say, hey, guess what? Blue District has the same red leather jacket, but it hasn't been made by children.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay a little, maybe $5 more, but still nobody's going to be hurt in the process. No cow have been, horrifically tortured. Nobody has died to try to make this a leather jacket. No children has sewn it,
Exactly.
And you get a free tea.
And you get free tea. Yes, you do.
And just before we finish, we need the tips of the day.
Tips of the day.
Okay,
Sucely.
bring some piece of paper and pen because
Okay, I'm ready,
This
I'm ready,
will
I'm
change
ready.
your life. It's amazing. You don't produce waste. It's good to control frizz. It adds shine to your hair. It moisturizes it. It protects it from sun damage. It's natural. It's organic. It's affordable. What else you can ask for?